Welcome back to the AZ Corner. Today's video is going to be a season review. We're going to go back to the beginning of the season and take a look at all the games and how the season went. We'll start by looking at how last season ended. We finished the season with 69 points, just missing out on top four in the Champions League to Tottenham. And top four was our goal last year. We didn't get it. We fell short at the end of the year. And coming into this season, top four was the expectation again. That was a must. If we didn't get top four this year, then the season was a failure. But in terms of challenging for the league, I don't think there were really any expectation that we would be able to. The goal was maybe second, third, but not really challenging for the title. Going back to the very first game of the season, Crystal Palace away. Coming into this game, we had a pretty good preseason run. Players were looking sharp. The new signings, Jesus and Zinchenko, and the addition of Saliba coming back, it looked very promising. And we had fairly easy fixtures to start off the year, getting 5 wins off the bounce. Then the Manchester United away fixture came, and this was sort of our first test going on the road, and we played really well that game. That game could have been a lot different. We ended up having a goal disallowed early on, but we didn't really pass the test. But looking at the performance, there was a lot of hope from this game. We then went on another winning streak with some Europa League games in the middle there, but the dominant win against Tottenham at home and then the win at Liverpool at home, I think really showed fans that this team is different, and we have made that improvement from last year. And then we ultimately didn't drop points since the United fixture until Southampton away, who have sort of been our bogey team over the years, and we ended up drawing that game. But things were looking up. We were top of the table, I believe, at this point in the season. Fans still really not thinking about the title yet, but it was definitely good signs. We then had some really nice wins right before the World Cup, an away win against Chelsea, and then another away win at Wolves right before that World Cup break, which is a unique situation this year, taking a huge break in the middle of the season for the World Cup. But right after that break, we came back looking strong with wins against West Ham and Brighton, and then Newcastle at home. Not too mad about drawing with Newcastle. And then we had 2 really big games, the Tottenham away win, which we completely dominated, and then the home win, the last minute winner from Eddie Nketiah against Manchester United. I think after that game, that's when fans started to realize, okay, we can definitely challenge for the league and we can maybe win this thing. Then we had a little hiccup during the middle of the year, an away loss against Everton, which probably was one of our worst performances of the season. A team that were near the bottom. I don't know. They might have been bottom of the table. And then drawing against Brentford was not ideal going into that first game against Manchester City, who were chasing us. And we dominated possession that game, but Manchester City ultimately took their chances, and we didn't look up to the test. And I think they ended up going above us after that game. But the following game after, that last minute winner from Jorginho put us back on top of the league and got fans to start believing again. We then had a nice run of games after that. Leicester City, Everton, Bournemouth wins. We had some more wins against teams in the lower half of the league. Fulham, who we completely dominated. And then Crystal Palace and Leeds. Right before that big game away at Anfield, Liverpool. And this is sort of where I feel like the title race shifted from us to Manchester City. And being 2-0 up against Liverpool and then blowing that lead definitely took a hit. If we would have won that game, I think that would have changed the rest of the year. I think that would have changed what would have happened at West Ham and Southampton. But then, yeah, after that Liverpool draw, it still wasn't. It was still in our hands, and then we blew another 2-goal lead at West Ham, which was unacceptable. And on top of that, the very next game, Southampton at home, they scored within like less than a minute. We were then 2-0 down. We fought back to get it to 3-3, but ultimately we couldn't get the 3 points there. And that for me is where we lost the title. Those 3 games, Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton, that's unacceptable in a title race with this young of a team. I honestly don't know what happened. I know Saliba got injured in that Sporting game and he hadn't been playing, but that could have had an effect, Rob Holding having a slot in to defense, but I don't think to win a title, it shouldn't rely on one player getting injured. Losing the title because of sleep, that if we're a good enough team, that should not happen. And then at that point, we had to beat Manchester City away to have any chance at the title, and we got completely dominated that game, and that's when that was the title done right there. And as we look at where we sit, 2 games to go now, Manchester City on exceptional form. I don't think they've lost a game since February. They just continue to keep winning. And I've seen a lot of fans, talking about, did we bottle the league or not? And to be honest, I think we definitely did bottle the league, but I don't think it's for this young of a team. And when you look at the expectations that we had at the beginning of the year, this season was not a failure by any means. It would have been really great to win the league. It would have been special to win the league. And I think a lot of fans thought we were because of the form that Manchester City were in earlier on in the year. People were saying if Haaland was hurting Manchester City, and you see what Pep did. He sort of changed his play style, his tactics, and they've been arguably the best team in the world this calendar year. But if you look at where we were last year compared to this year, another massive improvement, another step, and it only keeps going up from here. I think we're still a very young team. There's nothing to be mad about. Losing to Manchester City twice, I don't think deserves the league. If we can't beat the team in second, I don't think we really deserve to win the league. I think Manchester City fully deserves to win this. I mean, this is a team that's been battling for the title the last 5 years, 5 years with Liverpool, and Liverpool's only been able to win it once. And, the 1 year where the rest of the league sort of slips up is not really on form. Liverpool having a down year, and it looked like it was between Manchester City and Arsenal this year, and it was looking favorable, but Manchester City ultimately picked it up. Those last 10 games are what define the title race. And Manchester City, they've been there, they've done that, and we sort of look like what we were, and that was a team that had never challenged for the league before. It was a season where our expectations changed throughout the year from top 4 at the beginning to winning the title, and we did blow the title. We didn't win it, but when you look at everything, when you look at the big picture, I think this was a good season for us. I mean, compared to where we were, we've continually made improvements, but next year is the year. Next year is the year where we make that title run again, and we really push for that title. Hopefully in the summer we'll sign some players that will help us improve. There's definitely a lot of areas in the team that need improving, but we as Arsenal fans ultimately cannot be mad at losing this league to Manchester City, because they are, let's not forget, I think people forgot how good Manchester City were during the middle of the year, and right now they're proving that they are still as good as they were last year and the year before, and if not better. I mean, they're still in it for the Champions League, they're in it for the treble, so I think Manchester City fully deserved this title, but we'll be back next year.